So hi engineering Janta, I am Vaibhav Shukla and today we are going to discuss further topics in the WTF series, which is statistics for data science. So if I am visible and audible to you, go ahead, tell me. Tell me in the chat section if I am visible and audible to you. You can just drop a yes if I am visible and audible, and then we can begin with today's session. Put a yes if I'm great. So I am audible. Great. So let's go ahead. I guess there is some internet issue at my end as well, is it? Because I am receiving the yes late, but fine, I'll get it figured out. So straight away पढ़ाई चालू करते हैं, ठीक है? And I'll continue the discussion from where I left yesterday. Fine, today I'll continue from the same place. So what we covered yesterday was histograms. Fine, we covered histograms and these were histograms, right? If you correctly remember, something like this were histograms. Remember this? ये याद है सबको? हिस्टोग्राम कल पढ़ाई की थी हमने, फटाफट बताओ. So I guess everybody is in line with this. Type a yes if you guys remember what was histograms. Great, good. Chalo, IPL example, yes, correct. So let's go ahead and let's study a bit about percentiles. Fine, आज का जो topic है ना, that is percentiles. So guys, I'll request you to have some patience with the chats today because I am receiving them late at my end. By the end of this live, I'll get it figured out. Fine. So I request you all guys that you hold on a few things for a longer time. For example, if you're posting a doubt, stay for a longer time because your chats become visible to me after a longer duration. Fine. I hope that's clear to you. Now, let's study about percentiles. What exactly is percentiles? इसके बारे में समझते हैं. I can see your comments, I can see them, but I would suggest you that wait for a while because here I received the messages a bit late today. There's some issue with our network. I'll get it figured out. Fine. So let's go ahead and let's talk about percentiles. So percentiles are the values below which a certain number of observations lie. Fine. And usually this percentile term is often confused with percentage. Fine. So this is not the same as the percentage that you study, number one. Secondly, let's understand what is percentage first. फिर इसकी बात करेंगे, ठीक है? So if I speak about percentage, then for example you have this data 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, fine. So if I tell you that I have to find out percentage, fine, what percentage of values are less than 40? So there are three such values, 3 upon 5 into 100, which means 60% values, isn't it? this becomes 60%. I hope this is clear to you. This is percentage, fine. But what if I tell you that what percentile of values, fine, if I tell you that 40 is a value, tell me the percentile rank of it, fine, tell me at what percentile 40 is, then the question arises, what is the difference between these two, fine. So hold on, I'll explain you percentile. Look, percentile बहुत simple सी चीज है. How many values are below the observation that you are trying to process? Fine. For example, 40 is the observation we are looking at. Fine. It is the data point we are looking at. I want to know what percentage of values are lower than this. Fine. What and how ahead it is standing in the terms of these values. For example, you give CAT exam, you give JEE exam, you have 90 percentile. Say you have 90 percentile. That means that out of the total candidates, you are better than 90%. It doesn't mean that you have scored 90%. No, it's not like that. If I tell you that you have to find out percentile, then it is about that the value that you hold is better than 90% people if your percentile is 90. Fine. Percentages from all. For example, for 40, if I want to know percentile, if we want to calculate, what is the formula for percentile of 40? I'll give you the general formula as well. Wait for a while. Fine. So here for 40, this becomes into 100 divided by the total number of inputs, which is 5, and here you put 40. Fine. Now in this case, when you are trying to compute what exactly or where exactly you want these values to be fixed, fine. For example, here there are 40, which is the number that at which you are standing. Now for this particular number, what you can do is you calculate the percentile of this particular value. Fine. अब मुझे इसकी percentile calculate करनी है. This comes out somewhere 800 percentile, pardon, not percentage symbol. Fine. Is this a correct value? Can you say that this is a correct value? As simple as that. Can you say that this is a correct value? Tell me. In the chat section, tell me. Can you say this is the correct value? फटाफट बताओ. क्या लग रहा है? देख के लग रहा है? Is it looking correct when you look at it? Is it looking correct? फटाफट बताओ. Can this be an answer? Can this be an answer? Tell me. And then I'll explain you something which will altogether shift your perception of percentile. There's a reason why I have written it. फटाफट बताओ. Is it right or wrong? Just mention this. Can there be a possibility where you have 800 percentile? I just told you, you have to check the values below a particular value. Fine. So how many values are lesser than 40? We have to find the percentage of them. Is it correct? No, it's not. Exactly. It's not. Because here what we tried to do was, we tried computing the exact value of this particular data point. Fine. We want lesser values, the percentage of values which are lesser than it. So we do not need its exact value. What do we need now? The values which are lesser than this particular data point. For example, here, strangely you will realize that percentile and percentage both will come out to be same. Here in this, percentage and percentile will both come out to be same. See, I have 3 values, again 3 by 5, which are less than 40. So it is 60%. Fine. But had it been an example, let's take a different example where we would have had similar kind of inputs. What I am trying to say. See, what if we had data set like this, 10, 20, 30, 30, 30, 40, 50. Now if you correctly see, 40 is at a point, fine, where it has 5 outputs predecessing it. 5 outputs पहले हैं, but the values which are lesser than it are just 3. Getting my point? Now if I want to find out how many outputs are there which are lesser in value than 40, how many outputs, the total percentage of them, then becomes percentage. Then we need to find percentage. क्या आएगी वो percentage? It is 5 upon, what is this, 7 if I am not wrong, 3 into 5 into 7, yes. So if I calculate it like engineers through the calculator, fine, so I'll take the calculator and I'll check into it. So let's deduce this, 5 divided by 7, 71.4%, fine. So this is 71.4%. This is the percentage of values which are lesser than 40. Now remember, this is the percentage of values which are lesser than 40 in the total data set. But what if I tell you percentile rank of 40? Now what is percentile rank of 40? Or you can simply write percentile of 40. What is this? In that case, you will have 3 upon 7 into 100. Interestingly, this time the values will change, and if I calculate 3 divided by 7, it is 42.8. So this is 42.8. Fine. This is the percentile. So it is actually larger than 42.8% values out of this. Fine. What we are trying to say is 71.4% inputs we have which are smaller than 40. Fine, we have such 71.4% inputs. As simple as that. Percentage. Coming to the percentile. Here what we are trying to calculate is how many percentage of values are below 40% in the terms of their absolute power or absolute value. For example, मैं क्या समझाना चाह रहा हूँ? This is becoming confusing, and this is a confusing topic. That's why I am taking more time on it. Today we will not understand anything except for percentiles and quartiles. Fine. ध्यान से सुनना. 10, 20, 30. These are only 3 values which are lesser in terms of absolute value. These are only 3 elements. Fine. Elements total कितने हैं ऐसे जो 40 से छोटे दिख रहे हैं? 5. But the values which are smaller are 10, 20 and 30 only, na? I cannot consider 35 times if it is appearing 5 times. The value is only 130. Fine. And these values, how many values actually lie on the data distribution which are in the lesser terms of 40? So the percentage of such values, which are lesser than 40, fine, which lie below 40. Remember what percentile definition we discussed? They are the values below which a certain number of observations lie. Fine. So percentile is a value. This is a value, a data point somewhere from where you can find out that this is, if I am saying 42.8 percentile is there, so it means 42.8% values of this data set are lesser in terms of values. So when I talk about 40 is actually 42.8% ahead in the terms of value when speaking about data science. Clarity बनी कुछ या सब सिर के ऊपर से चला गया? फटाफट बताओ, अदरवाइज मैं दोबारा समझाऊंगा. ठीक है? This is a tough topic. That is why I am taking time. And as soon as we go ahead, things will become complex. That is why you need to clear your basics. Tell me in the chat section. Okay, so it is clear. Great, good. This is wonderful if it is clear. If there is some doubt, you can post it in the live chat section. Fine. Also, if you need these notes, what you can do is join my community channel. Fine, on Telegram. Ritesh, please post the community channel link. Fine, that would help you out. Now let's take another example. कुछ और देखते हैं. Fine, let's have a data set of marks where somebody scored 20 marks, somebody 40, someone again 40, someone 60, someone 70 and someone 90. Fine, these are the marks that were scored. Now somebody who has scored 70 marks, I'm taking the another example only, fine, I'm taking the another example. Somebody, and these marks are out of 100, marks are, and this will absolutely clear you things, out of 100, fine. Now when these marks are out of 100, what is the percentage of this child? Say this is Ram's marks, so percentage of Ram, Ram की percentage क्या है? Very simple answer, 70 by 100 into 100, 70%, that is the marks. Is it correct? Now when I try to calculate what is the percentile of Ram, what is the percentile of Ram, let's check that. So when I try to check the percentile of Ram, what is the percentile of Ram? In this case, how many values are lesser than Ram? If you check it, how many values are lesser than Ram, what would appear in front of you? And say let's take this even better. Let's make this data set even better. Somebody is having here 50 marks, fine, so that you can have a uniform distribution when you plot it, fine. So 20, 40, 50, 60, 70, 90, how many values, how many students have scored lesser than Ram? Now check it, how many values are lesser than the marks of Ram? Let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 such values, 4 upon the total marks, total number of data points that you have. How many data points you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4 upon 6 into 100, that roughly translates to 2 by 3, which roughly translates to 66.6%, fine. So this 66.6, the value that you get here, this 66.6 is actually the percentile of Ram. Ram scored 70% marks, fine, but he is ahead of 66.6% students of class, fine. Of his class, say these are only students, 6 students ही हैं उसकी class में, in his class he is ahead of 66.6% students. Is it clear? Now is percentile clear? अब percentile समझ में आ गया? This is very easy example. Now how did I calculate it? I'll give you a general formula for that as well. So percentile of x, where x is a value, is nothing but number of values below x, fine, divided by total number of values into 100. Is it clear? What's 4? What's 4? So 66.6% people are there from where he can say that I am better than 66.6% people, fine. He lies ahead of 66.6% people, fine. So Ram's percentile is 66.6%, fine. And percentile of x is generally calculated by this formula. This you can note down, fine. Now if I go further, now if I tell you that in this, if you want, I can show you that there are one more thing, quartiles. However, tomorrow we'll discuss one more topic, how to calculate value from a percentile. That is a very different concept that we are going to discuss tomorrow, but I'm not explaining it tomorrow because I want you guys to take some time to adjust a few things and to assimilate what exactly percentile is. Percentile को समझो, सीधी बात है, अगर क्लास में 100 बच्चे हैं तो किसी की जो 70 पोजीशन पे खड़ा है, he is 70 percentile, fine, he is ahead of 69% people, fine. So 69 percentile आ सकती है, 70 percentile भी आ सकती है, दोनों चीजें, दोनों different concepts हैं. But when will he get a 70 percentile? When he is ahead of 70 people, so 71 position. 69 percentile is when he will be at 70th position. समझ में आ रहा है? Percentile indicates तुमसे पीछे कितने हैं. Simple. Percentile is as simple as that. How many values are behind you or below you or lesser than you? Simple बात है. How many students have scored lesser than you in an exam is percentile. If you have scored 99 percentile in CAT or JEE, What does that mean? You are better than 99% students basically. You have scored better than 99% students, that is why your percentile is 99. If your percentile is 91, then you have scored better than 91% students. That doesn't mean that you have 91% marks. Let me tell you. एक डाउट ये है कि इन परसेंटाइल सपोज 2 ले रहे हैं बिलो 70, देन टोटल डिस्टिंक्ट मार्क्स विल बी कंसिडर्ड, दैट इज 3, और टोटल स्कोर लेस देन 70. नाउ लुक, when it comes to the output where people are being considered in such example where 2 students have same marks below 70 and then total distinct marks are to be considered, no. In this case, how many students have scored lesser than you? First, that is considered. Then amidst of you two, they have various tiebreaker in competitions. In that they'll check. But if we have no tiebreaker, in that case, in the same case that you have typed out, then it would simply check how many students have scored lesser than you. This 70, if 2 people have scored 70, then their outputs will not be counted. People who have scored lesser than them, their values will be counted. Fine. For example, if there are 2 students who have scored 40, 40, 70 and 70 and 30, this is the game. Then it is the number of students that you have to count, because this is not about the values, this is about number of students that we are counting. Fine, when we are counting about the number of students, you have 3 such students which have scored lesser than you. Fine, is it clear? I hope that makes things clear. Fine. So that is pretty much. Now coming to the portion of quartiles. Percentile समझ में आ गया? So first 25%, fine, pardon, not percent, percentile, fine, so I'll write it like this. So 25 percentile, the first 25 percentile is called Q1 or quartile 1, fine. Why so? If the data is distributed like this, see, if the data is distributed like this, then we divide it into such 4 quarters, fine. This is Q1, this is Q2, this is Q3 and this is Q4, in such a manner that here it is 50 percentile, here it is 25 percentile, here it is 75 percentile, and then post 75 percentile everything is the last thing. Fine, so I hope this clears pretty much about quartiles. So here I'll end for today, and tomorrow I'll explain you about how you can calculate the value back from percentile. Right now what we calculated, this is also called percentile rank. Fine, this is also called percentile rank. But what if I tell you that calculate, I have given you this percentile rank, calculate the number of values below x, fine, or calculate the value that lies exactly at that percentile. Basically I am saying that percentile of x I have given, give me x, fine. When I'll ask you to give me x, then we'll discuss that formula that I'm going to tell you tomorrow. I hope by far this is clear, and I'll wrap this session up. Have a wonderful day ahead, and to all of you, keep doing good without any expectations. Good will come back to you. Fine. Have a wonderful day ahead. Bye bye.